The decoding of crazy. Unironically, this week's podcast is titled The Decoding of Crazy. How can I not watch? How can I look away? Every time I think that this woman cannot do any better, she goes and outdoes herself. And she really has. She has gone beyond the Rubicon this week.
You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
I have a feeling that this is going to be one that people really enjoy, so get ready. But just before we get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for today's video, Atlas VPN. I'm just going to take a few seconds to explain to you why you need Atlas VPN in your life. You use the internet, right? You're using the internet right now. And you were probably like I was not so long ago. I believed I just typed something into Google, right? And Google, in its infinite benevolence, just sent that information my way. Free, gratis, no strings attached. Oh, naivete. For this is what really happens.
What is a VPN? Well, this is Hans, but it could be you. He's sitting at home in Germany browsing something on an American website.
What a time to be alive.
Indeed, but poor old Hans believes that information is just going to come from the American website right to his home in Germany. But what have we here? All of these pesky little busybodies want to get their grubby mitts on Hans's personal information. But not to fear, for Hans is a shrewd navigator of the internet and he has downloaded Atlas VPN.
Installing Atlas VPN on your computer or on your mobile phone protects all of your personal data from all of those greedy fat cats in Washington, big corporations, dirty, evil hackers. But that's not all.
Once your internet connection is protected from all of those sick and twisted individuals, you can set your Atlas VPN location to literally anywhere in the world.
And if Atlas VPN says you're in Buenos Aires, you might as well be in Buenos Aires.
Don't enjoy paying your current rate for your Netflix subscription? Well, don't.
Let's just leave it at this. Atlas VPN is so good at protecting your data and saving you money by providing you with access to offers that you would not normally be eligible for in your country. The vast majority of its users happily pay $10.99 a month just for the privilege of having Atlas VPN protect their data on all of their internet devices. But you lucky sausages, well, by clicking on the link in this description, you can get an 82% discount. It's $1.99 a month for 3 years. Are you mental? Click now. Here we go.
Hi there. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that this episode gets into some sensitive conversations.
Uh-oh. Trigger warning, people. You know it's going to be good.
If you or someone you know is struggling or in need of assistance, we have some resources in our show notes. And
likewise, if you're struggling to protect your data, I've got some assistance in the description under this video, remember.
And by the way, if you find that this is too heavy for you to carry today, just tune out. It's okay. I'll still be here next week.
Okay, I think I'm done then. I'll see you next week. I'm just kidding.
Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy.
Meghan, have you ever been called crazy? Are you raising your hand right now?
Or hysterical. Or what about nuts, insane, out of your mind, completely irrational? Okay, you get the point.
Well, some people might get the point. I'd like a few more synonyms, please. Can I have that in a sentence?
Now, if we were all in the same room and could see each other, I think it would be pretty easy to see just how many of us have our hands up.
I suspect you're right, Meghan. I suspect if we were in the same room, it would be easy to see if we had our hands up.
By the way, me too.
No, 1,000 times no.
And it's no wonder when you consider just how prevalent these labels are in our culture.
Cue the montage of people saying the word crazy.
I feel like you guys think that we choose to be crazy. You know, this is an active choice.
A girl is allowed to be crazy as long as she is equally hot. Thus, if she's this crazy, she has to be this hot.
I don't think that men can control crazy women.
Did Meghan just take Jordan Peterson out of context? I won't stand for it.
Carla, I cannot hide the crazy a minute longer. I'm just this big mountain of cuckoo who's about to erupt and spew molten crazy all over him, and he's gonna die like this.
She doesn't trust you. That is crazy. Let me tell you why.
You crazy car. I don't know whether to eat you or kiss you.
Now, obviously that last clip, I edited that in, but weirdly enough, it was quite seamless. If I'd have only played the sound, I don't think you would have noticed. Gave about as much weight to her argument as the other clips did.
The use of these labels has been drilled into us from movies and TV, from friends and family, and even from random strangers.
Well, I don't know about TV and the media, but if friends, family, and random strangers are all calling you crazy, call me crazy, but maybe you should take a hint.
And the fact is, no one wants this label.
Somehow I've known ever since I was little that, you know, to be called crazy, like that's like a big, big threat, you know.
That's comedian and writer Jenny Slate.
Yeah, sounds like a barrel of laughs.
She's known for characters who are intentionally messy and complex. Women who don't have it all, quote unquote, figured out. They fail in public, and still, they keep trying. She's been thinking lately about the usefulness of this word crazy.
Sitting around thinking about the usefulness of the word crazy sounds like the actions of a mad woman.
Oh, and its cousin, hysterical.
Oftentimes you can feel quote unquote hysterical or crazy and not wonder or not stop to think like where that definition came in. You know, now I've started to be, you know, instead of being like, oh God, I have PMS and I feel crazy today, and throwing that in there as if it doesn't have this like really brutal history behind it.
Oof, imagine being her boyfriend, listening to that every month. Yeah, the brutal history. I was not crazy. Sorry. What do you want me to do? What do I say? I'm sorry.
Jenny raises a great point because I didn't know this, and I just learned this when we were doing this episode. The word hysterical, it comes from hystera, which is, wait for it, the Greek word for womb.
I'm sure everyone learns that at school, don't they? You know, hysterectomy, hysteria. I remember learning that. It's probably because I used it so many times to annoy women since.
Plato himself was actually amongst the Greek philosophers who believed that the womb would travel around the body, adding pressure to other organs, which would then lead to erratic and unreliable behavior.
Fascinating theory there from Plato. You know, I was initially turned away from Plato because of his cave analogy. You know, how he thinks that the common man should be forever facing the wall watching the shadow play. And that we shouldn't have access to the esoteric knowledge of the philosopher kings, you know, the truly enlightened people that would be overlords in his ideal society. You know, all that kind of turned me off. But perhaps I was hasty in my judgment.
By the way, in the DSM, the book used to diagnose mental health disorders, hysteria was an actual medical diagnosis. Until 1980.
Hysteria, craziness, like it's a disease of the people with the uteri.
I think she means women.
Like the people with the emotions. You know, first of all, like I have a child. She's a year and a half. I have a womb. I don't think of it as like the origin place for things like going out of control. I actually think of it as like a place where like the most controlled thing ever occurred. In that, like, you know, like I made a human in there.
What?
It is a definition created by a man. It is a definition meant to shame and limit a certain type of experience.
Are we talking about the term hysterical? Because, I mean, I know it has an ancient meaning. It has an etymology like all words, but we describe men as hysterical now as well. Hysterical is just essentially a synonym of erratic, uncontrolled behaviour now. Crazy behaviour. I don't really see how it's particularly linked to women, but okay. I tell you a word they haven't mentioned yet. The one Peter Andre used all the time. His trope. Insania. Ah, those were the days, eh? Simpler times.
And that experience, let's just call it what it is. Emotions. Because that's it. It's just the emotional experience of something. Scared, sad, angry, stressed. jealous, surprised, worried, insecure. Take your pick.
All of these emotions exist. I know that because my fact checker told me.
Calling someone crazy or hysterical completely dismisses their experience. It minimizes what they're feeling. And it doesn't stop there. It keeps going.
I've noticed that Meghan does that quite a lot. I'm sure we all do to some extent, but Meghan does it a lot. She'll say a sentence that's kind of vacuous, doesn't really mean anything, and then she'll repeat the sentence but paraphrased and saying it the opposite way. It doesn't stop. It keeps going. Anyway, let's get into a bit of one of the interviews and see if we can work out why this woman has been called crazy so many times throughout her life. This is actress and comedian Constance Wu.
I just turned 40 a few months ago. I mean, that's more than a few months. God, it goes so fast, You're like, how did I even get here? I used to think 30 was old.
I know.
And it's like, now I'm 40. It's interesting because people used to tell me, they used to tell me more frequently when I was younger that I didn't look my age. And it's funny because I think the standard response when someone says, "Oh, you look younger," the standard response is supposed to be, "Oh, thank you."
I know.
And I've actually tried to train myself to not say thank you, but then I encounter this other resistance, which is like, "Oh, are you an ungrateful bitch?"
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Constance Wu is crazy, just from the way she's talking. She's 40 years old and worried about whether she should be grateful when people say, "Oh, you look nice." It's like, yeah, you can be grateful. People won't think you're a bitch if you're not grateful. Nobody cares. They're just saying, "Oh, you look nice today," which is fine. Chill out.
I gave you this compliment, you're not saying thank you. So I want to acknowledge when somebody says something, but not treat youth as though it's a compliment. In fact, when I think about my own life and how I was when I was in my 20s versus how I am now, I think that in a way, I'd love to look like I'm 40 because that's a reflection of my experiences, which have made me who I am today.
Okay, then, yeah, the red flags, the crazy alarms are going off in my head, I think. If she's worried that people are saying, "Oh, you look good for your age," you're really thinking, "Oh, you're like when you're in your 20s. Yeah, when you're a complete mess, when your life was a mess. That's what I mean. I don't mean you look good for your age." How would it be good if people are saying, "Oh, no, you look 40. It looks like you've been through a lot. Looks like you've been through a lot of change." Would you prefer that? Seriously. I don't think you would.
How are you in your 20s?
Oh my God. Messy, broke. I was over $40,000 just in credit card debt.
Oh my God.
That doesn't even include student loan debt. And I didn't even care about it. I was really reckless about my spending. And I also partied a lot. I drank a lot. I dated around. I did drugs. I did all these wild things.
That sounds pretty crazy. Massively in debt, sleeping around, doing loads of drugs, drinking too much. And I'm pretty sure they edited out the word crazy and they just changed it for wild.
These wild things under the guise of, "Oh, I'm so free. This is so fun." But a lot of it was fear driven. I was trying to avoid something.
What were you trying to avoid, though?
Oh gosh, I think, you were an actress and
Past life. Yeah.
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 And it's something that really meant a lot to me. I'd been an actress since I was a kid, and I wanted it so much, and I was constantly getting rejected. And saying that it hurts when you're rejected, that's actually harder than the rejection, admitting that it got to you. And so I think when you're like, "I don't give a I'm just gonna drink, whatever, I'm a wild party girl," then it's a way of saying "Oh yeah, they can't hurt me," when really you're like, "I'm really hurt and I'm really scared that I'm not gonna make it."
Well, I think I'm going to leave it there for tonight's video, seeing as it's so late now, and I'm going to investigate a bit of the rest of the podcast tomorrow and see if I can find any good bits from it. Maybe make some shorter videos or something, because this is taking it out of me again. Anyway, I think we all come away from this a little bit wiser, a little bit sleepier in my case. And you know what? Maybe just a little bit crazier.